welcome back to the Rose Festival Medallion Treasure Hunt podcast. Say that 3 times fast.
How about I just call it the RFMTHP?
Acronyms. All right, whatever. That's good. We are Deidre and Dustin White, again back to talk to you, and we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do. We have the winner of the 2017 Rose Festival Medallion Treasure Hunt, Neal Dietz. Hi, Neal.
Well, hi, Deidre.
Hey.
Hi, Dustin.
Hey. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, you bet. I love your podcast, and thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day that you could be sitting around deciphering clues or being boots on the ground to talk to us.
Well, absolutely. Ever since I had to take a little nap this afternoon, ever since I got back up, I'm on Google Maps. I got paper maps. I'm drawing lines, trying to figure things out. So this is actually a nice break.
Oh, good.
Well, it sounds like you have a good little system going. Those are things that have helped people solve these things in the past, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you have to. You have to be all in. If you're not all in, you're going to struggle with this. So, my usual modus operandi is I'm going to come up with a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense, but every once in a while you come up with something that sticks to the wall and, hey, I can prove this. This is an actual solve. I can prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then maybe you can go back and look at the other clues and how that one may help some other things that you hadn't figured out yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I'm with you. You have to go all in. If you're not going to go all in, well, you're not going to win, right?
Well, Dustin,
right.
Then you're not going to win because I have to throw you under the bus for a second. He slept until noon today. And when I was boots on the ground yesterday, he literally fell asleep in the car on me as I drove around places.
Okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there's a reason for that. I had been getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep every night for 5 nights in a row. I was pooped. And, I had been anticipating these clues so much. I've been waking up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting for 6 a.m. for the clue to roll around.
You know you don't have to wake up at 3 to get a 6 o'clock clue, right?
Do you think I meant to?
Yep.
I couldn't go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All in or not at all?
I'd call that all in.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, whatever. Anyway, Neal, so we'd like to ask you if you'd like to tell people, our listeners, what got you into the Rose Festival Medallion Treasure Hunt in the first place and how long you've been participating.
Well, I don't remember exactly what it is that got me into it other than I was aware of it in the early 80s. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I'd really like to do that. And, it was 83, 84 time frame. And they were hard clues. And I was just working by myself and I just struggled. Well, I would work with my dad also, but just struggling. And they were just hard. And then 1984, 1985, I was just too busy to get into it, going to school, working a couple jobs, and kind of got away from it. And I moved to Eastern Oregon for a couple of years, and then moved back and was going into had training with my new job, a different fire department, and then got married, bought an old Victorian house that we had to restore. And it was, life got in the way of really pursuing the hunt. And I did loosely do some hunts in the early 90s. I started to get back into it, but not as hard as I would have liked to. And then they stopped it, in 2005 was the last one until they started again in 2014.
Yeah.
And so when they restarted it, I made a vow to myself that's like, all right, I'm going to dedicate myself to this. I've got a little bit more time to spare and work on it. And I'm going to find one of those things at some point. And so starting with 2014, just kept learning more and how much work it takes and dedication and trying to figure out ways to solve these clues, get out in the field. And as luck would have it, I got lucky in 2017.
Well, that's more than luck.
Yeah, more than luck. You had to be in the right place. You're there at the right time, at the right place with that last clue, but luck didn't get you to that spot.
Yeah.
A lot of work got us to that, that area. Like I found it the year before you, and there was a lot of people there when I found it. And I know a lot of people ended up showing up right around the time you found it as well at Fort Vancouver.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I really thought, so on the year that I found it, I couldn't go out and search on Friday because I just had too many other things going on. And I thought, oh, great, it's going to be found today. And oh, well, and it wasn't found today. And I could tell by the 13th clue that it had to be on 5th Street. It was what was it, 300 grand or 330 grand. And so I interpreted that to mean, even though I wasn't there to look through the V in the tree, I knew if I was going from Officers Row south 1,000 feet, that's going to put me on Fifth Avenue. And so, or Fifth Street. So I knew that when that 14th clue came out, I wanted to be positioned right in the middle of Fifth Street. And that's how we found it that easy.
That was brilliant. I convinced Deidre that we needed to be just outside the park.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure it wouldn't
I'm
be
not
inside
bitter.
the park. Yeah.
I'm telling you, we drive by there on the main thoroughfare 14 constantly. And he's always like, there it is. There's the spot. There's the spot. We just missed it.
Well, it's right in our backyard. We go by it all the time.
Yeah, that's
I
very
probably
true.
dwell too much, but I'm happy that Neal found it.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was
very
that was a
deserving.
very fun hunt.
But that clue, through a V, you'll see a tree, haunts me everywhere I go.
Yeah, I'd actually been I think like you, I've been searching Fort Vancouver for 2 or 3 days at least before, and all over and back and forth and back and forth and down to the fort and back up to Officers Row and all the whole area.
That was crazy.
And then when the hidden clue came out that was down at the Portland Justice Center in the calligraphy display,
Oh, yeah.
we didn't actually solve that one till the next day. The first day that clue came out, I went to the Vancouver City Courthouse.
Yeah, me too.
And I took pictures and got all that information and got absolutely nothing out of it. And so then I got home and I was talking to my dad about it, and he says, well, they have rotating displays at the Portland Justice Center, various things. And a light bulb clicked on, and so my wife Eileen went down there, took pictures of the ones that she thought might mean something. We had the one that had the hidden clue, but we didn't pick up on it right away, but it didn't matter because we'd already been searching for Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
We were already there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny with that bonus clue that told it said go to not Evergreen or go to the Beavers and not Evergreen or something.
Yes, something
And
like
I think
that.
that confused a lot of people. Like, we all thought it was in Washington, and the clue was in Oregon, but everybody thought that it meant, oh, go back to Oregon.
Yes.
That was a strange one. But I remember going to the courthouse in Vancouver that morning when that clue came out, and I took a picture of the plaque there, and I saw something that said, I think the first courthouse or something was built over in the Fort Vancouver area. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, well, that's all I needed to know. I'm already there anyway, so I just turned around and went right back to Fort Vancouver.
A clue that you just made up. I love it.
Yeah. Mm. Hey, it worked for me. I was still in the
It
right
did.
spot.
That's true.
I think somebody asked in one of the Rose Festival groups earlier that, do you think the clue writer is in one of these groups watching us dissect all the clues? And I guarantee it.
Yes.
I certainly think so, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I even if it's like under a fake name or something, that person's in there having the time of their life watching us fumble all over this stuff.
They're laughing at us.
Yeah.
I've thought about that before, and if I was the clue writer and I was watching the solves and potential solves, and I would just be dying laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the journey to get to that X marks the spot.
Right.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for, touching on your experience. And yeah, it was real exciting watching you find the medallion a couple years ago. I know you almost found last year's too, right?
Yeah, I did. I almost stepped on the darn thing.
It was going to bite you.
So I had been out to Malala River State Park the weekend before, my wife and I, and had poked around and got familiar with it. And then I got sidetracked and went down a rabbit hole.
No, we don't
That
do
doesn't
that.
happen.
And it was because of the past. It was because of references to past hunts, and so there was a reference to, and I don't remember the clue right now, but reference to Tryon Creek State Park where Nat found it many years ago. And so I got stuck. I spent a couple days in Tryon Creek State Park. I was all over George Rogers Park, and I was all over. There's another park down there on Lake Oswego waterfront, and I couldn't get out of that rabbit hole, and that was a mistake. And then once the clue came out, the 13th clue that talked about MSRP, I was already en route back to the Lake Oswego area. Got the clue MSRP, boom. Okay, that's Malala River State Park. So I just changed direction, went out there. I think I was like the second or third person there, and I just made a beeline down to the park. And I remember the boundary for the dog area. I walked straight down there, started searching a fence. I looked up, and boom, there's Nat Dale looking around with me. And,
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, so Nat and I searched that fence line, and we went around the fence, went to that brush pile. We both walked around it, looked, and thought, boy, it would never be in here. And So then I started searching other places. And then I went back to the brush pile. I thought, boy, because that brush pile's right in line with that boundary. It's got to be here. And I walked around and I don't know why, I picked up that pallet and looked underneath it. And I thought, why is this pallet here? This is out of place. Something's out of place here. And, it was right next to that pallet. The problem was, this isn't an excuse by any means, but I had hip replacement surgery 2 weeks before the hunt started.
Yeah.
And so what I was finding is anytime that I crouched down low, my hip flexor would cramp on me. And so I had to stop doing that, because every time I'd crouch down low and look underneath something, that would cramp in me. Then I'd have to stand up and kind of massage my hip flexor. And you kind of look strange when you're in the park doing that. Plus it hurt.
That too.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well,
but anyway, I'm glad that Laura found it, and that was a fun hunt. I should have spent more time out there to begin with. That's my fault for getting stuck in a different rabbit hole.
It happens. We all learn lessons, right? That's just a lesson. This is sometimes when you think, you know what, there's zero chance it's going to be X, Y, and Z. And then it was Z. And you're like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong about that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it just, now other people hearing this, they can think, well, I would think that that's like a non-starter, whatever they're looking at. And then they think, well, Neal walked right by that medallion in 2018. He didn't think it could be there. Well, I don't think it could be here. Maybe it is. And maybe it was, right? Maybe they find it that way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I've learned is you have to look everywhere. If you're dialed in on a spot and you have some confidence in it, then you really have to search hard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, I was explaining when I found it in 2016, I had looked in the right spot. Right. I'm sure dozens of other people stuck their hands right on that rock and just missed it by inches. So it's just you do have to get lucky a little bit. So
yeah.
Yeah, I remember. We were there the day before. In fact, it was kind of funny. We went out there because I wanted to look at the Eagle Creek stair steps again.
Yeah.
And it was early in the morning. And so we got there and we hadn't even parked yet. And my wife got the clue on her phone. It was bright and early in the morning. And that said, I don't remember what the clue said, but don't overlook something or other.
Obvious clues. Yeah.
Oh my God, Overlook Park. We're here. It's here. We're not leaving until we find it.
There you go. Yeah.
We didn't find it, but.
Yeah, I was there that day too. That was a pretty obvious clue.
Go figure.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, well, right on. I'm glad you were able to give us kind of the highlights of the past few years and your experiences with the hunt. Before we talk about the current, like the newest clues, because we missed yesterday's podcast.
Dustin was sleeping
because of my sleep thing.
I just make sure everybody knows I'm hardcore. Dustin's not. He was sleeping.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we did have a comment on YouTube. On one of our.
Someone has a comment. That's concerning.
On one of our podcasts. Well, it's great. This is from Angela Ward, and she says, "Thanks for the podcast. When do we get day 3?" Also, you mentioned in this or the first episode that there are groups in the plural for the hunt, but only one group I'm aware of on Facebook. How do you get involved in the other groups? The one group, there's more than one group. The two main groups that I'm a part of would be, one's a page and it has like 700 or 800 people in it.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, so that's a page and you can't like make your own post on it or anything, but there's a lot of people that go there to read the clues. And then the other one is called Rose Festival Medallion Treasure Hunt 2019. Right now, they're not accepting new members into the group because you kind of had to get in before the clues started getting released, but I think there are a few other groups floating around. You just go into like maybe Facebook and type in Rose Festival Medallion and click on the groups tab, and you should be able to find some people to chat with.
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people just have a small group with personal friends here and there that they've been out hunting with before. A lot of people have like a personal messenger group or whatever here and there.
Yeah, you know how I'm working with a couple people now, and they're friends that I've met doing the hunts, and we just kind of hit it off, and we've done the St. Paul Winter Carnival hunt together the last few years. We do some of the TDN Longview hunts.
Do you?
I typically, I think I've only gone and actually looked for the TDN treasure, like I think once. I just enjoy trying to solve it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not going to go to Minnesota to do the St. Paul, but it's fun and good practice to search it online and practice that way.
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually never tried to do those clues before.
To
The
St. Paul?
St. Paul, no.
Mm-mm, me either.
But I know it's a lot like the Rose Festival,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a really huge prize.
They do. It's $10,000.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
And you're right. The clues and the clue writer, I think, are very similar to the Rose Festival clues. They're very difficult clues, very cryptic, and it takes a lot of research. But it's fun if you get some people together, that you like working with, and do that. It's a lot of fun.
Isn't there somebody over there that's won like 3 or 4 times, like the same person? I think I read that somewhere.
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know, but I'm glad that I don't live there and try to solve it, because most years there's snow on the ground. So not only do you have to find out where this thing is, the ground's covered in snow, and so you have to dig through the snow. And oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how difficult that would be.
No thanks.
Yeah. I mean, if I lived there, I guess I'd do it, but I don't know that Deidre would.
I don't think I'm made for such weather.
I don't think so. I remember one time we went fishing. Like, we don't know how to fish. Like, we're no good, but we were trying to get into it before we had kids. And I would take her, I don't know, 4 a.m. out to try to get somewhere before, just as the sun's coming up. We'll get out there somewhere east on the Columbia River. And we just fish from the bank, like where the mouth of the Wind River and the Columbia River come together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so we would go out there, and I remember this time. I remember this distinctly. I got everything set up. We get ready to put a worm on the hook and throw it out there, and she's like, "I'm cold."
It was so cold.
And she's like, "I don't want to do this." I'm like, "We just drove like an hour to get out here. What is your problem?"
Okay, and I'm not an early riser. All right,
Definitely not.
No, which is ironic considering you slept till noon today and I was up at 6, and that's not a normal thing.
Wah.
But yeah, now I want to go magnet fishing. Does that count for anything?
That sounds like fun. Do you know what magnet fishing is, Neal?
No, I was just going to ask, what is magnet fishing?
Explain it, babe.
So you get a very strong magnet, and they're like 300 pounds pulling pressure, and you essentially put it on a rope and throw it into the water and pull it back in, and you start pulling all kinds of stuff out of there. Fishing lures, swords, trash,
Watches.
You've
Guns.
seen people pull guns out of wells.
Yeah, you're telling me about that.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta see what's going on here. I've seen people go down to old train wrecks, like off of bridges and those areas, and pull up wheels and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, wow. I've never heard of that. I fish for spring salmon on the Willamette River, and I've thought many times when I've been out there, if this river, if they were to stop the flow and drain it dry, what would be on the bottom of this river? Holy cow.
You might be able to find out a lot sooner than that.
He sounds like the person I need to go hang out with and try to catch my first salmon.
Yeah, seriously, because we're no
I
good.
tried. This was before kids, but I wanted to be a fisherman so bad. I would go every day after work, go down to St. Cloud area or to the Wind River, and I'd fish, and like literally 100 days in a row, and I caught 3 fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fishing definitely takes some luck, but it also, there's some knowledge that goes with it, and that just takes time.
Yeah.
And even the good fishermen, I don't put myself in that pool, but even those guys, they can have long stretches where they don't catch fish. There's just a lot of variables.
Yeah,
but
I tried.
Maybe next year we can get on in the Columbia when the spring salmon are in.
Oh, maybe. That could be fun.
Roll on, Columbia.
Yeah, roll on.
There you go.
Oh, man, everything is going to be a reference to a clue for the next couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And then by 2 weeks from now, we'll definitely be catching up on sleep, because usually after this hunt, I'm just tired. I love the hunt, but by the end, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of glad that's over, because now I can get some sleep.
Right?
Yeah, you don't have to wake up at 5:30 waiting for that clue, or 3 o'clock like me sometimes.
Yeah.
And then stay up at night, because if I have a clue that I can't solve, I'll go to bed thinking about it, just thinking, why can't I solve this? Why can't I solve it? And try to get my brain to work on it when I'm sleeping. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
I hear you.
Speaking of, I'm this year. Wow.
These are good clues.
They're very good
I like
clues.
them. I think I'm having fun with them.
I could put myself in all kinds of different places with all of them, though, if I want.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Is it too early? What do you feel? At what clue do you feel like you should be able to be in the right park?
Boy, that's a tough question. In the right park is like the
Or
hard
at
question.
least in the right county?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
depends.
Yeah, and that's a good question as far as the county. I don't know if this year the clue writer is going to identify the county, or like he has in the past, or I think
Mhm.
last year it was like identified as free range clues that he's not going
Mhm.
to identify it. We have to narrow it down. So I don't know, but usually by, I would hope by clue 7 that I'm getting dialed in to
Me
a
too.
certain spot and feel some level of confidence about it.
Yeah, but I want it to be sooner. That's my
Oh, I do
problem.
too.
Yeah, but you don't want the clues too easy, right? You want to
Well,
be
of
able,
course.
yeah, we want this thing to last. If somebody found it right now, we'd be really impressed, but we'd be really sad.
Right. I agree. Like, what was that? It was 2015.
Oh, Brian and Teresa, yeah.
Yeah. And they found it was at the fifth clue, I think.
Fifth
And
or sixth,
Sixth.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
and it was
early.
like, I can't believe they found it. It's over. Shoot, it's all done now. So I agree with you, Dustin. We want it to last.
Yeah, but it's that's super impressive though.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like my mind was blown when they had found it so early. I hadn't even got out to barely figure out anything. It seemed like that year.
Right. Well,
But
what I try to do, and I've been out twice now, not searching, just kind of scouting.
Mhm.
And that's what's fun is once I start thinking of places that, well, this is possibility. I want to go out and scout that area first and
Mhm.
get mental pictures in my mind and maybe even take pictures and
Yes.
file that away. And then, if it comes to pass that, hey, that's things are actually pointing to that area, you've already got some area familiarization, which helps a lot. So that's, I typically put on a lot of miles walking doing this,
Mhm.
but it's, that's part of the fun of it is exploring and learning new things and seeing new places and putting some miles on your shoes.
Yep. Smiles for miles.
yeah, right. All
I'm
right.
not there yet with this year, boy, that's for sure.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
well, there's still time.
Oh, I'm impatient.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, maybe we should start talking about some of these clues,
Yeah,
huh?
maybe.
But before we get to the new clues that we haven't discussed yet, let's go back to the first clue and maybe some other first clues have meant in the past. Neal was talking to us before we got on the air a little bit about some clues that may not have been intentional clues, but something that could have given people a good idea of what to look for, or something to that effect. Is that right,
Some
Neal?
history.
As far as like the prior clue number ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't think that the clue writer is going to give anything away in the first clue by any means. And
Yeah.
I think it's mostly introductory, but I went back and pulled up some information from some past hunts. And so starting with the 2014 hunt, where Melanie found it on the East Bank Esplanade, when you read that clue, it says, "Welcome back. It's been 9 years since EB and Dawn confounded and delighted us. Get ready. It's back on." So it could be a total coincidence that EB and Dawn, the former clue writers, delighted us, but it's interesting that the initials EB are there, and then it was found on the East Bank Esplanade.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I like that. That's really good. I saw that that Melanie had posted that on Facebook a few days ago.
Okay, I
And
didn't see that.
yeah, she did, and that was we actually I think did we briefly touch on that in
We
the
may
first
have, because,
episode?
yeah, we also talked about you saying with Driven, and it was the centennial of.
The Columbia River Highway in 2016. But those are the only two we explored a little bit. But yeah, I really like the EB and the East Bank connection there. That is really good.
Yeah, well, speaking of Melanie, so Melanie's pretty sharp, obviously, but
Mhm.
so here's something she came up with in 2015. She was, believe it or not, she was in Newburgh before it was found.
Wow.
The first clue, it says, "Search for it this year on your own, or you can band together. Sometimes friends can really help, or they can waste shoe leather." Well, Melanie was able to put together that during the Depression, when people didn't have money, when they wore their shoes out, they would the soles of their shoe, they would use cardboard, and they called it Hoover leather. And in
I remember
Newburgh,
that.
there's a Hoover House Museum not far from Rogers Park where it was
Yeah.
found.
Wow.
Again, coincidence? I don't know.
I don't think so. That sounds really good.
I think I need to ask Melanie where she's at right now. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's really good. I know that President or Herbert Hoover had lived in that area whenever he was a youngster, right? Like he
Yeah.
grew up in that area a little bit.
And yeah, that's why I have the Hoover House Museum there.
Yeah, that is cool. That's a great
I like it.
great thinking and great puzzling. That's really cool.
So then we get to 2016, and I agree with you on the you must be driven. And that made sense to me. That made sense to me even before it was found, once we kind of really got dialed in out in the gorge. But yeah, to solve the clues, you must be driven. I think that it's not a solve by any means, but it's a hint
Yeah.
that people can pick up on or not.
Yeah. Well, that year in particular was the 100th anniversary of that historic Columbia River Highway, and there was all sorts of pomp and circumstance during those weeks.
Right.
There was all sorts of celebrations, and that was, I mean, that's it. The whole purpose of that road is to be driven on, and all the clues were leading you down it. So what are you doing? You're driving down it. I don't know. That was a good little insight into the end, even though it supposedly wasn't intended to be a clue.
Right. Yeah. So I don't think that was coincidence. Then we get to 2017. Actually, this is the year that I found it, but I think you picked up on this when the clue writer had mentioned all the names of the people that had found it, tied in with the number of structures at Fort Vancouver Park. Was it the number of structures or the number of the plaques in the ground? I don't remember.
It was the plaques. Yeah. So in that year, we had all of those names listed, and however many there were, that number correlated to how many plaques were in front of these trees on Officers Row. And I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but I mean, that's what made me that's what made me stay on Officers Row, because I was there like on day 3 when I counted all those things, and I was like, well, this is where I'm going to hunt for now.
But you were there based off of a different clue, off the going insane clue, because the first asylum was there.
Yeah, it was on the corner of Reserve and Evergreen, and that was what really made me look in that area. And then I found those plaques, and I was like, well, this makes too much sense to go somewhere else. And I don't know that I was right with either one of them, but it made me go to the right spot.
I think it goes under the coincidence, I think not category.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, and I didn't pick up on that until later, probably when I was talking to you or read something online that you'd posted. And ironically, I happened to find it that year. So then, last year, I think also there was hints there. The clue read, researching our history and looking up lore is always a mystery, but never a chore. So hit the ground running and search to and fro with wile and cunning in our 28th show. So the first key on this was, it says researching our history. And by that, it's history of the hunt, not our personal human history, but our history, which definitely played into the solves last year, forming the arrow to point to Lawler River State Park. So that was one that I think some people picked up on, and I don't know, maybe a lot, but there's definitely a clue there, researching our history. And another one that part of that may or may not have been a hint, but it says hit the ground running and search to and fro. And the brush pile where it was hidden was it was a good 200 yards away from the parking lot. So you had to hit the ground and get out there. It wasn't close to a parking area like it has been in the past.
Yeah, we've never been out there to that site, and so part of our mentality going into these hunts past few years has been, well, wherever it's hidden, it's going to be like right next to an area that you can park. Right.
Yeah, or walk very like on a
short
sidewalk
distance.
or something. So that's good to know, especially since we weren't in the area to search last year. Yeah. That's kind of been some of our problem. We're going back and researching those clues to figure out what the giant arrow on a map. I literally went through this year and was like, okay, how did this work? This is a very complex clue, and replotted them.
We probably should have gone over it when we got back from that trip to be real familiar with it, but better late than never.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you think this year it's probably something gonna be like a oh duh at the end, like once we know where it is?
That's a good question. So what I was able to do, and I don't want to point anybody in the wrong direction.
Oh yeah.
But I was able to, in fact, anything that I say, I don't want anybody to take seriously, because I don't want to hear anybody wrong.
Yeah, but total disclaimer from all of us. Hey,
we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, we have no idea where it is. We have, if you take any of our information, take it with a grain of salt.
A big
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
do your own research and get your own ideas. But
Prove me wrong.
yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead, Neal. Sorry about that.
So I was able to use clue one, and I went with the mentality of, well, I had two thoughts. I thought, one, these clues may or may not be in sequence, in order, like we would want them to be. And two, that there may be something more in clue one than what meets the eye. And so I thought about it, couldn't come up with anything. And lo and behold, that night, I had just laid into bed, getting ready to go to bed. And all of a sudden, my head hit the pillow, and bam, an idea popped into my head. So then I had to decide, should I get up and go research it? Should I wait till the morning? And because I knew, and I decided to stay in bed because I knew if I got up, I would be forever on the computer.
Yeah.
So what I was able to do is use the line to get your ducks all in a row, and was able to come up with an arrow. And I had to use Google Maps to do that. And my thought process worked. And all I'll say is that the arrow pointed north. But that may or may not be correct.
I can't get myself out of north either. I spent a lot of time in the north today.
Yeah, well, we've got clue number 3 that we haven't discussed yet, and it says search everything to the north. So,
Yeah, it makes me wonder. So what made me think of that and look for an arrow was the words a row. And I thought, I wonder if a row means arrow. It might not. I don't know. But I came back out, put some things together, and boom, hey, there's an arrow.
Man, we should have totally seen that, because literally on the last episode, we were talking about the treasure hunt that we like to do. It's called The Secret. And in San Francisco, one of the clues says, but first across, and it's the word across, just ACROSS. But when we were deciphering it and when we do our boots on the ground walkthrough, what we discover is it's an actual cross, like a cross. So we should have totally seen this arrow. That is awesome, Neal. I love it. Don't know if it's right, and we probably won't know for a while, but that is awesome. I love it.
Speaking of, and to solve the clues down to a T, maybe a T is a cross. Ooh.
Yeah. That's
okay, how did I
exactly
miss
what
that one too? I just talked about a cross. Man, you blow my mind.
That's what I do.
Wow, that's could be what AT is. Wow, boom.
Could it be a steeplechase? Ooh.
This is some crazy brainstorming here.
I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Something might
That's what
stick.
you have to do. You have to throw enough spaghetti, and sooner or later something will stick.
Yeah, good. Well,
spaghetti.
cool. I really like that. That's really clever wordplay, you guys.
You got anything else for clue 1 or 3, or what do we got?
Well, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4, silly.
Yeah, I came up with a bunch of possibilities for T, spelling it differently. Yep. The correct spelling for that as to a T is actually grammatically correct, is the letter T, to a letter T.
Yeah.
So whether this is an intentional misspelling or just a common error, grammatical error, I have no idea. Could be a T, could be a golf tee, could be a football tee, the plastic stand you put a football on before you kick it, that's called a tee. I don't know. I didn't find anything I could hang my hat on with that one.
Definitely there's I've been looking a lot at disc golf. And of course, I thought of foot golf, but I don't know of any foot golf courses that are just public, open, free ones.
Yeah, you familiar with foot golf?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. We played a couple years ago. It was fun.
Well, the problem that I have with disc golf courses, and this is just me, but I remember the year that it was in Fort Vancouver, I was doing some early scouting over there, and I was up at Leverage Park, and I was walking around through the disc golf course, and I thought, holy cow, this is dangerous. I could get hit by one of these Frisbees and not even see it coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it would be in or around, maybe not in, but maybe around a disc golf course. But those Frisbees, I'd be walking through the park and I'd hear one of them slam into a tree. And I thought, man, I'm glad that didn't hit me.
Yeah. That park I was out there today.
Oh.
Oh, snap. It is a really busy course. Like, people are out there all the time.
Yeah. Crazy. You were doing that when I was asleep?
Maybe. I can't tell you.
I thought we were on the same team.
It depends on the day.
Okay.
Today you were sleeping.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
So Do you got anything for the ducks?
Well, Neal just said he was gonna have to
Oh.
duck away from some disc golf
Oh, there you go.
There you
tees
go.
there.
That's what it
so
is.
duck or duck duck goose. Maybe it's a goose egg, like a big fat zero. That's all I got.
I think.
Clue 2, I didn't get a lot out of Clue 2. To me, Clue 2 sounded more like an intro clue to me. Although, spoiler alert, there may be something to that I haven't been able to nail down yet. But it was not one of my thoughts I had. I'm glad Clue 2 came out, because one of my thoughts about Ducks in a Row was that meant previous hunts. Get all those hunts ready, because we're going to reference them again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he came out with, I say he, I don't know who the clue writer is.
Yeah.
The clue writer came out and said, unlike last year, knowledge of all past hunts will shun. Okay, that's great information.
Yeah.
History, math, and geography, well, those are what I would expect on hunts. There may be a deeper meaning that I don't know. Curious about the word game, but I wasn't able to come up with any solves for Clue 2 that I could say, okay, boom, I got it solved.
I'm just, as you're speaking out loud, and history, math, and geography. So school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just talked about the term game. So maybe we're looking at fish, a school of fish, game, because you've got fish and wildlife, game, hunting, duck hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Duck hunt.
Duck hunt. We're playing Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be a lot of meanings to the word game.
Yeah,
A
for
lot.
sure. Well, a lot of people I've seen, at least on the message boards on Facebook and whatnot, or groups or whatever, they had attached this clue to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Because, spoiler alert, it's like something people say a lot of before they start talking about some important plot point that, people of the show that hadn't seen it yet wouldn't want to hear before they watch the show or the movie or whatever.
Right.
And so Game of Thrones is kind of a big deal right now, and it just ended, right? I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones before. I tried watching it once, and I kind of wasn't into it. Kind of too gory for me, but I know a lot of people love it, and it's a big deal, like pop culture right now, right?
Yeah.
It could be a reference to that, but I don't know. I kind of hope not, with it being so close to the end of that series, because I don't know. I hear there's some people named Stark in it, and Stark Street's a thing in Portland, so maybe there's some kind of connection there, but beyond that, I have no idea.
Yeah, and I don't either. I've never watched an episode either. I know almost zero about that show.
Yeah.
I read, I was reading the Facebook board, and I saw somebody mention Stark, and Stark is Baseline Road, or used to be called Baseline Road,
Yeah.
based off of the Willamette Stone, and that does come into play.
Yeah.
So at least with the solve that we have for Clue 3, but whether that, I don't know if it has any more than that to it or not.
Okay.
It's hard to say. And like we were saying, maybe they're out of order. Got to get our ducks in a row. Spoiler alert could also be, so you're going to spoil a plot usually.
Yeah.
And last year we heard that plots, so you're plotting on a map.
Right.
Maybe it's a land plot. Maybe.
Could be. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, don't know. I guess we'll find out in less than 2 weeks, though.
We're clueless.
That's right. And then we'll go, why didn't I figure that out?
Right.
All right, so we're going to jump onto Clue 3 here, but we're going to just read the full clue because we haven't done that yet. And so Clue 3 says, a line between two peoples divides two from one. Henceforth, stretch it far both east and west. Search everything to the north. I like this clue.
That's good.
What do you think? You like it?
I think it's
I
a
like
clue. Yeah. Go, Neal.
Yeah, I like it because I just think it's giving you some kind of, it's giving you direction.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think it is.
When you read that, it's got meat to it, and you shouldn't. It'll set up a boundary. So yeah, I like that clue.
Yeah. Initially, I thought of the Columbia River, and the reason I thought of that is because the I think Michael Long had shared something about the different Chinook tribes, and I looked a little bit into it. And the Chinook people were living on both sides of the Columbia River, so the Columbia River kind of split their people the two groups, even though they were the same group of people. And the peoples, uh, most searchers had thought that meant like Native American groups, right? And so if you look at a map, there is a solid blue line that goes from east to west that separates the two states from each other, and it's a pretty obvious marker. Is it too obvious? Probably, but I saw some more discussion about other things, and I'm not sure that either one of them are wrong yet, but I know which one is I probably think is a little more right at this point. But I'll give you a chance to say what you think about it before we talk about that.
Well, yeah. So I thought the same thing. I thought there's a lot of different lines that divide peoples, but I was stuck. I struggled with the language for a long time. Divides two from one, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, that can't be math. You can't to divide two from one. That doesn't make sense as a math equation. So I know I'm going to have a line that divides two from one. So then I'm thinking, okay, so after I draw this line, there must be two of something on one side and one on the other. That's must be how I have to think about this.
Okay.
So then I started doing the Indian thing too. And I got stuck on that. They're the Native Americans and the tribes. And boy, those tribes were all over the place. And I
Oh,
think that their territories overlapped with each other. And it was hard for me to draw any lines that would separate them, anything definitive.
Yeah.
And so actually one of the people that I work with came up with a perfect solve. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of thinking? I wasn't thinking wrong. I wasn't thinking big enough. I got stuck in a small box, and then we came up with another solve. I didn't, but has to do with the range lines sections, and that matches up with county lines. And
Okay.
boom, that makes a lot of sense. Then when I got online and was able to stretch that out and stretch that county line over into Washington County, guess what? It's still dividing two from one. And so, boom, I think we have our southern border set.
nice.
That
But
being
that,
Multnomah and Clackamas County.
yes.
Yeah.
But that proved to me, you have to think big. And normally I can. And yesterday I just got stuck with it has to have something to do with Native Americans. But that wasn't it. So I think we have that southern border set. I'm pretty happy. Not me, another person came up with another solve that works just as well, I think, but who knows which one will actually be right.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they're close enough together. The solves are close enough together to where it probably won't matter in the long run.
Yeah. That's understandable. That's the other thing I heard yesterday was a lot of Clackamas and Multnomah County, the boundary between the two being maybe the southern border because we're searching to the north. But so Deidre had some ideas about this as well.
Let's see here. Two from one. So Vanport historically, well, okay, let me back up. This clue came out on Memorial Day, and Vanport was destroyed, flooded, finished, gone on Memorial Day. What was it, 70? I don't remember what year it was, but Vanport, two from one, could also be that the Vancouver, two peoples, the Vancouver people, the Portland people. This place is between Vancouver and Portland. So you have Vanport, the city that was created in World War II.
Yeah, what you're thinking of, it was 71 years ago.
Yes.
It was in 1948.
Thank you. And then it just seemed like there was a lot of pomp and circumstance yesterday around it, and kind of it just really got me thinking that maybe Vanport could be historically part of it.
Well, last year there was that clue we were reading about State Park Day. Mm-hmm. Remember? And the clue came out on State Park Day, and it was part of the clue. You had to figure out that, I think it was May 2nd, or was it May? June 2nd was State Park Day, and that had to do with, hey, it's going to be in a state park. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking when she started talking about how this place was destroyed on Memorial Day, but it was a different date that year. So it was on May 30th. I don't know, maybe on May 30th this year, it's in 2 days, we'll get a clue about Vanport being destroyed or something, huh? If that's the right location, I don't know.
2 from 1, I mean, we could also be looking at a fraction, like a fraction bar, a line. I kept going back and forth on how can you divide people.
Yeah.
There's a lot to kind of digest here. I'm not tossing out the idea of the Columbia River being a border, but I also really like the whole idea of Multnomah and
Clackamas.
Clackamas as a
Yeah.
border.
I know some people were suggesting Division Road as the line because it says divides, right?
And that was my first
And
go-to.
that could be your little math connection.
Yep.
I don't know.
It could be.
Could be.
Yeah, what do you think about any of that, Neal?
Um, well, I definitely think the Columbia River is a possibility. It definitely divides. Division Street, I would have to know what it's leaving on one side from the other. What's being divided there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm kind of happy with the section line
Yeah.
dividing.
Yeah.
I think that's good. The previous hunts have referenced those section lines and range lines, and so I that's kind of where I'm staying with.
Yeah. Well,
I could change my mind at any time. Get me another clue.
Especially if we're gonna shun all past hunts. I mean, I'm just saying.
yeah, but I don't
It's
know.
the Wild Wild West here.
It is the Wild Wild West right now. Okay. So maybe touch on clue 4 now, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to read it?
Okay, let's see here. Many roads you've traveled far, searching for the hunt's big star. Words sung in a well-known bar lets you know how close you are. What was everybody singing all day?
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. That's what that immediately came into my brain, and I could not turn it off all day long. For real.
Yeah, this is a good clue. And obviously there's meat in this clue.
Yes.
But trying to figure out what it is and the use of words and wording is tough. So many roads you've traveled far, I basically take that to mean highways, like I-84, I-205, 99. SR14, SR500,
Yep.
any of those, I think could come into play. Searching for the hunt's big star. Star could be as simple meaning as that's just the medallion. The hunt's big star is the medallion.
Yeah.
Or it could have some other meaning. I don't know.
The sun, the northern star.
The northern star, yeah.
Oh man, I could go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, one of the, going off your highway theory here, I saw somebody mention 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. And, Highway 99's right there. It's in Oregon and in Washington, so.
East and west.
It is.
Yeah.
Although I'll say I've never been in a bar where anybody was singing that song.
Well, we have some ideas about what the bar actually means. It might not be an actual place you go to have a drink, right?
Exactly.
Right? So what are you thinking? Deidre has a fun little thing with this.
Oh, let's see if I can explain it, because I have been stuck on this whole music kick all day, and bars as in a bar of music.
Yeah, like a measure.
Words sung in a well-known bar lets you know how close you are. So to me, that's a measure. Lets you know how close you are.
Yeah.
So a measure of music would be 4 notes. Well,
4 beats.
4 beats.
Yeah.
Sorry. You have half notes, whole notes, quarter notes.
Eighth notes. Yep.
We are at the 4th clue. Oh, there's a quarter note. What? But going back to your ducks in a row, a lot of people have mentioned the ducks, right? The school.
Yeah.
And what does their big O look like? It looks like a whole note.
It does.
Which would take up an entire measure. So I don't know. There's something there. I don't know what.
Yeah, but another thing you were kicking around too was, okay, so an octave. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So if you look at clue 1, we've got so.
Twice. To me, it seems odd to be using so, because it's a filler word.
Yep. And,
Yes.
which other one?
Ray That could be a big star. Ray, a drop of golden sun.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I think this one, well, in all honesty, I didn't get to spend a lot of time on this today. I had to work this morning until about 1 o'clock. Then I went and scouted out a potential spot. I came home, was beat because I'd been awake since 2 o'clock, and took a nap. Then I got up, started working on this. And, I was thinking bar, is it a bar? Is it a music related bar? Is it the regular bar? Words sung, karaoke sung all over the place.
Right.
And trying to pin down a song that's sung in a well-known bar. A well-known bar, would that mean a local one or a TV one? And there's about 1 million TV bars that have been on different TV shows. And that would be really hard to track down.
Very.
So I was kind of stuck on that. And then lets you know how close you are. I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? Close, is that distance or time? How close are you? Is it going to be a distance or time solve? I don't know. It's kind of leaning towards the musical aspect of bar. I kind of think that's probably where it's at, not a bar where you drink. And then I will say that one of the people I'm working with late afternoon or shortly before dinner came up with something that I think might be the solve.
Ooh.
And I can't give that away.
But
that's fine.
It really fits, and I was actually able to make it fit the whole clue, not just the words in a well-known bar. There's things that the more I looked at that potential solve and looked back to the clue, it checked the boxes. But again, like we say, who knows?
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, maybe a future clue will give us what we need to decipher some of these prior clues as well.
I'm waiting for the aha moment.
Yes.
Where it all clicks.
Yeah, for sure. But it's fun to get to that aha moment.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aha moment is great, but the part of the fun of this is parsing these words and what is actually meant by these words. And it's so easy to take them at face value, because sometimes you can take them at face value, but many times you have to dissect these words and how the word is used, and different meanings and uses for different words.
Yeah, Deidre pulls out her thesaurus all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's well used.
Oh, yes.
But like a physical one,
Yes. Me and Merriam-Webster, we're tight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you need to be.
Oh, yes.
Like last year, there was I don't remember the clue. It had to do with the NIMS, the antonyms, synonyms, homonyms.
Yep.
You have to be thinking about those things.
Yep, and even though that's from a prior hunt, that's still a valuable thing to be thinking about every year, I think.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Any type of treasure hunting that you do, I think you have to be aware of that.
Yep, I one of my main searches on Google, because we do a lot of treasure hunts that aren't the Medallion too, but I always go synonym for whatever, because I want to know what's like. I was talking about the secret earlier. If I look for the word across and want to see what else it could mean, if I didn't know that I was actually looking for a specific cross, I would want to know all those synonyms, so that I keep my eyes open for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so cool. Well, that's these clues are a lot of fun. I'm having a good time trying to really get the meat off of these clues to try to really hone in on something. Haven't quite got there yet, but how do you feel, babe?
I feel highly unconfident at this point. I've got too many balls in play, and I'm really hoping to knock a couple out of the air at this point. I would like to be narrowing down faster, but it's only clue 4, so I need to calm down, slow my roll, and realize what past hunts have taught us. Usually you're not in the right park on clue 4.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That's happened a couple times. Like,
yeah.
Things. I think the first hunt, it was found by mistake on like day 3.
I was looking at there was 2 different times it was found on day 3.
Yeah.
And then another time it was on 4, and then 6.
I think the clue writer is setting it up now to, he has to at least get it to day 12, and he's not going to give you how to find it beyond that unless you're really lucky.
Right.
Unless
Yeah,
you pick up
I
the
agree.
initial clue.
I agree. They want this to go on and so everybody can have as much fun with it as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but I have to give the clue writer kudos for doing such a great job and being willing to do this. And I don't even know how much time or effort or research it would
Oh
take
man.
to do these hunts like they do. But my hat's off to the clue writer.
Agreed. It's amazing because
Yeah.
they get so much history in there, and I
So
could see it
clever.
taking a year to really put this together.
I could see that too, but who knows? Maybe they do it over a good solid month or two. Who knows? I don't
Or,
know.
like 50-ish weeks.
Yeah, 50 weeks or so.
Yeah, 50
Yeah,
weeks or
yeah,
so.
that's good. Yeah, we made a little treasure hunt a couple months ago that was led to a treasure in Astoria, and our friend Lisa found the treasure, and it
Yeah.
was for like this website that does discussion of Forrest Fenn, not a website, a YouTube channel, and
Okay.
it was hard to make it so that it wasn't too obvious, but we didn't want it to be too easy or too hard, and there's a fine line there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really difficult to write all those clues, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm. But
So our hats off to the clue writer too, because their hunt's way better than ours.
and they are having so much fun. This is their reward. They get those other 2 weeks just to watch us squirm and. But I'm excited to get to a park and see a bunch of familiar hunters because that's when I know I'm in the right spot.
Exactly.
Yes. If you think you have it dialed in and you show up and you're the only one there, then
Uh-oh.
you should. That doesn't mean you're the smartest person. That means you might need to rethink.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Right?
then go find out where all your friends are actually hunting at.
Right?
Yep, that's exactly it. All right. Well, what do you think? Should we move on to discussing what the weather is going to be like for the next couple days?
I think that's important. I
Okay.
feel like failed weathercasters. I was expecting today to be much nicer than
Yeah.
it was.
It was fine. It wasn't like raining or anything, right?
I got some rain.
Did you?
Yeah, I had to
Oh,
put my
forgot.
coat on.
I slept.
I
till
went
noon, my bad.
outside.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I'm seeing tomorrow at 73 degrees with 10% chance of rain. So that's not bad. It looks like it's going to be partly cloudy or partly sunny, right?
Yep. Looks good.
So that's good treasure hunting weather.
Yep. You could wear open-toed shoes if you want, but I feel like that would be a safety hazard, so don't do that.
Yeah, what happens if you get into some poison ivy or something and you brush that up against your toes?
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
And don't stub your toe on a pallet or something, or
Something that's near the treasure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, looks like Wednesday is going to be 75. I'm seeing 79 on Friday, so it's getting nicer and nicer.
Wow, that's like air conditioning weather.
We already have our air conditioner turned on.
Yeah,
It's warm here
it's warm here.
in our house.
You have to stay comfortable.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. Okay.
Well, that's how you're going to get that breakthrough. With the clue.
In the cold? In the
No,
north?
no.
Are we going the North Pole?
Yeah. See, now you're picking up what I'm putting down.
No.
No.
Throw it away. All right, too many balls in the air. We
I'm
need
just-
to swat a few away.
Yeah, I'm just messing. So the last thing that we usually do are do predictions for the next clue. So clue 5 is out tomorrow morning. What do you think is going to be happening in that clue?
Well, my guess would be we've got one boundary, we think, one boundary established.
Yes.
So I think the clue writer probably needs to work towards giving us another boundary or solid direction anyway from our boundary. So that's what I'd be looking for, is something that we could decipher and maybe get a different boundary or a clue that kind of points us in a direction that we're comfortable with.
Okay. That would be most helpful.
Yes.
I think the clue tomorrow is going to say something like, "It's never a bridge too far." Do you know what that's from, babe?
Duh.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say it out loud.
Yeah. No.
The people that know will laugh.
Yes, they will. And there are a lot of bridges in Portland.
Yeah, well, I'm still going to guess it's going to be about some kind of bridge.
You think it's going to be about a
There you go.
bridge? Oh, man. Tomorrow, I really would like a boundary. What do I think we're actually going to get? Yeah. I'm going with a final border of some kind.
Something to box something in.
To box something in, or a radius. Ray, a drop of golden sun.
Okay, you keep going on with that.
Yeah. You see what I did there? So punny. But yeah, I think we'll be able to finally narrow down, maybe not necessarily a county, but at least within a close search area.
Do you think if your thoughts about the do re mi fa sol la ti do, which word's going to appear in tomorrow's clue? If because there's only 8 of the on the octave scale of the do re mi fa sol la ti do. So that could only be 8 clues. We got 14 clues total, right? So there could be many clues that don't have them, right?
Sure.
So which word
now
tomorrow?
we're just falling off.
Yes, we are
the
falling
crazy
off.
train.
Yeah, we are. But
the one in the clue tomorrow is me.
Me. Okay. Boom. Okay.
It goes the
Thank
dynamite.
you. Thank you for spitting something out.
Yeah, that was painful. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so those are our predictions for the 5th clue. Fifth of whiskey. I'm just saying, it's a bar.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Isn't there a building in Portland that looks like a big old fifth?
You mean the jug?
The jug.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't know if it's still there, but there used to be over on, I think it was on Sandy Boulevard.
See?
Yeah. You know what's funny? Mary brought that up in the Rose Festival Facebook group today.
Did she?
And she tagged me in it, and she said, I knew it'd be below the home of Brown because it used to be painted brown or something. And yeah, so I said, oh, so it means Sandy Boulevard or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny that you say that because she had mentioned it. I don't think it's definitely not a fifth.
It's a big fifth.
No, if it was shrunk down, it'd probably be a gallon size.
Okay, whatever. That's fine.
A growler.
A growler.
There you go, growler. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it.
That's enough on our tangents. So...
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say, Neal, while you're here?
No, I just wish that everybody good luck, have fun, put as much into it as you can, because if you're really serious about finding it, that's what you got to do. And if you can, work with other people. Obviously there's the Facebook board, but people can also work with other friends, because these are hard to solve by yourself, and it's nice to have people to bounce things off of.
Yes.
But I hope everybody has a lot of fun and gets the most out of the clues that they can.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, we completely agree. It's way easier to bounce ideas off people than just, you kind of need somebody to say, hey, that's wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track. Deidre tells me all the time for all these different treasure hunts. So
yeah, I always tell him he's bananas.
Yeah.
And
so it's good to have that person to bounce those ideas off of. And sometimes you're going to say something, they're going to be like, whoa, I think you're right.
Mind blown. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really good. All right. Well, thank you, Neal. Anything you want to say?
I got nothing.
Well,
except for happy hunting.
Happy hunting, right?
Happy trails.
Yeah, we'll see you out on the... Well,
I hope so. If we're in the right spot, then we should see somebody, right?
I hope to run into a lot of people this year.
Yes.
So. All right. Well, thanks, Neal, and I hope you guys have a great day, and good luck tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.